Holy floppin' spit, you guys! Hail, good citizens, fellow Americans, brothers and sisters from sea to shining sea. I am Will DeWitt with Constitutional Warriors, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to this, our inaugural episode. Constitutional Warriors is a nationwide group of concerned patriots trying to organize and network with other patriot groups in light of all the chaos we've seen going on this whole past year. We are proud and grateful Americans. We are responsible citizens and good neighbors. We look to our nation's history, our founding, and our Constitution, which, while not spotless, is something for which we can be both proud and grateful. Those who have gone before us have created a society that has done more to promote human freedom, equality, prosperity, and potential than any other nation has been able to accomplish in human history. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and we seek to be the shoulders to support the next generation. We are not any sort of ethnic identity group. We are not out here to raise schisms of any sort, if you know what I mean. If your values align with ours, we don't care about your skin tone, your last name, or your accent. We are not affiliated with any particular religion, even if our values might align with believers of a variety of faiths, or followers of none. We are not revolutionaries. We seek to preserve our nation, not overthrow it. We are not affiliated with any political party. We will lend our support to whomever aligns with our values, who loves America and its people. We are not a militia. It is not our goal to instigate, participate, or retaliate in any sort of civil violence. But we are working to connect with groups who can help out in any sort of natural disaster or civil disturbance. We simply seek to preserve our constitutional republic, to promote freedom and prosperity for all Americans, and to restore our unique sense of American culture and unity. Now that we've had a moment to introduce ourselves, let's have a little bit of fun here and go over some of the top news stories of the past week. Supreme Court Justice nominee Amy Coney Barrett, who was nominated after the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, has received a vote to move from the Senate floor to a final confirmation vote, which will hopefully happen early this week. 3 scoops, Mr. President! Of course, the Dems are complaining about it being a unanimous party line vote. Why? Because they decided to boycott, and Mitch McConnell was more than happy to hold the vote with some peace and quiet. After Kanye West famously went MAGA, we've now had Ice Cube talking with the president on some proposals to help the black community in this country, because nobody in the Biden campaign wanted to talk to him until after the election. So he has sent a very powerful reminder to the Democrats that they don't own black people in this country anymore, and they certainly don't own black people's votes. Now, I can't say that I agree with all the points on his contract with Black America, but I'm certainly more amenable to having a serious political discussion about how to actually solve some of these problems than I am to me and my neighbors settling this in the street with bricks and Molotovs. We will be keeping an eye on this story to see how it develops. Additionally, celebrity rapper 50 Cent has also gone full MAGA, rejecting JoJo's bizarre tax plan, where he thinks he can lift us all out of poverty by taking over 60% of our paychecks. The man says, "I don't want to be 20 Cent, so he ordered 2 scoops and traded his blue cap for a bright red one." Now, if this story weren't awesome enough, we add Chelsea Handler to the mix. This privileged little somebody, this generic Hollywood TV host, says she had to remind 50 Cent that he is black. That blows my mind! How do you process this amount of ridiculosity? I would say ludicrosity, but that's a whole nother rapper. Lady, I know you're a handler, but who appointed you to be his handler? Mr. Jackson doesn't belong to you. His money doesn't belong to you, his mind doesn't belong to you, and his vote certainly doesn't belong to you. We have 2 Mr. Jackson, 50 Cent and Ice Cube, who are successful in multiple businesses and are the gold standard in their respective domains, who have woken up to the fact that politics is a dirty power game, and that their goals and hopes aren't going to be accomplished merely by listening to the party that claims to care the most. They are going to leverage power for power and place their support with whomever earns it. And they certainly do not need handlers. And speaking of handling things, we've got Jeffrey Toobin, legal analyst and journalist for CNN and The New Yorker, doing a little X-rated Zoom meeting action. CNN, what's up with you and your boys? Did you not send out a memo about this kind of behavior after Don Lemon allegedly sexually assaulted a guy with his crotch cheese? You guys never shut up about Trump talking about grabbing crotches. But look at you guys! No, scratch that. I'd rather not look at you guys. At least, not until after you've zipped it up. And let's see, what else do we have here? Oh yes, we actually had a presidential debate last week, and it went much better than expected. The moderator was only slightly biased in favor of JoJo, who actually got through the whole affair without wetting himself. And the president was not electronically gagged throughout the entirety of the debate, which is what many of us were expecting and what some were hoping for. I actually think the threat of muting helped the president focus his thoughts and keep his talking points relevant. And I think actually letting Biden ramble for 2 whole minutes at a time, trying to keep his thoughts together as the stimulants wore off, ought to give a clear picture to the 24 undecided voters out there as to what their choice ought to be come Election Day. Lastly, Hunter Biden, the story the media does not want to cover. Now, the October surprise is nothing new, and neither is this story. We've known for close to 3 years now about Hunter's crooked appointment to corporate boards in Ukraine and China for the purpose of peddling political influence for his father. But the laptop story looks to be the torpedo that can sink the battleship. Not only are there emails that appear to confirm everything we've suspected about his jobs overseas, but video footage of the man passed out with a crack pipe in his teeth, and even possible evidence of engaging with trafficked humans and, shall we say, baby shrimps on all these computers that he dropped off and never recovered. You can't make this stuff up! No fiction writer could come up with a story this weird, and yet here it is, big as life and twice as ugly. Now, guys, I certainly don't revel in this. This guy is obviously troubled, has been for a long time, and sticking him in positions of money and power didn't do him any favors. Moreover, if he did do all these crimes, they not only affect him, but also victimize numerous people and damage the entire political process of this country, as well as fomenting political corruption in other countries. And of course, we cannot ignore the blatant hypocrisy of the media and the Democrat Party in all of this. From Escalator Day, when Trump announced he was running for president in 2015, even up till now, we have heard charges of Russian collusion. We have had 3 years of investigations. We have had Trump associates imprisoned over, shall we say, trumped-up charges. We even had an impeachment trial over phone calls to Ukraine, none of which produced any evidence of substance that the charges were legitimate, and they are still talking about it. Meanwhile, we have JoJo on tape bragging that he strong-armed Ukraine into firing the prosecutor that was looking into his boy. We have the computers and crickets from the mainstream media. To me, this is a blatant display of not only hypocrisy, but of projection. What one guy does, he accuses the other of doing. This should definitely be a consideration as we count down the final days to Election Day. But we shouldn't forget about it afterward either. Trump was elected as a wrecking ball against establishment, business-as-usual politics in Washington, to drain the swamp, and that movement needs to continue, no matter what happens next. Well, that's all we have time for today. Folks, if you're interested in learning more about us, check out the links below. I'm Will DeWitt, Constitutional Warriors. Help your neighbors, and pray for America.